Macquarie, which is a small town about 400 kilometers north of Sydney. Now, the young man tried to ward off the shark and sort of swam all the way to the shore. And somehow there was a policeman who was walking his dog or doing police patrol, who was able to use who was able to rescue him, so to speak, because he had lost a lot of blood. And at the end of the day, was able to wrap up his leg before the paramedics got there. And by today, the leg sort of came up on shore. And they were able to take that leg to the hospital. Currently, he's gone through surgery, and they were able to put his leg in ice, but we don't know yet as to whether there was the surgery, if they were able to reattach his leg to his body. But coincidentally, about 2 months ago or a year ago, he had a back injury that took him off surfing for a while, and he had just gotten back to surfing, and this happened. So it's like this young man, Kai, is a fighter, right? Because you know, he has some fans, huge fan club on social media rooting for him. He's just got back on track, and then this happens again. But he keeps fighting back. I mean, it's a true survival story, and it just tells to our human instinct to be able to withstand. Sometimes you don't know the power within, and you keep fighting back to just keep being on top of life's challenges. So, well, our prayers go to Kai. My prayers go to Kai, and hopefully that leg will be able to be reattached. I mean, I'm not a surfer myself, but I applaud people who are able to take those
waves,
really bold steps, go into the water, the waves, and all. I see those things, I get really dizzy. So being in the midst of it and knowing that there are other things in the water with me, I don't know, but I'm really praying that he gets
well, we hope his leg is
and
attached.
he's
that's
strong.
incredible. That's a
We
miracle.
hope his leg is attached back.
Yeah. How
Next
do you
time,
lose a leg and it washes back
it is
offshore?
well. That means the
Wow.
shark no even chop the leg. It is
That's
well.
a wicked shark.
Yeah, you can imagine. Wasn't
So,
even
well,
hungry.
my story is actually on the. I just wanted to bring to our attention, and I thought this was really looking good. The Nigeria and other countries, their official uniforms for the Paris 2024. I'm really loving the vibe, the Nigerian sportswear. I think I should get one of these.
I like
yeah,
it.
I love it. I love it. I
love
love it. And I thought it was important to mention it. In anticipation of the grand event, countries around the world have unveiled their official uniforms, showcasing a blend of tradition, innovation, and national pride. So Nigeria, of course, you know, will be competing in 11 sports at Paris 2024 Olympic Games. And I think Toby Amusan was, picked as the flag bearer for Nigeria. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, she deserves it.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine. Maybe perhaps her or Oshuala.
I don't know any other person.
People, yes, would be worthy.
I love this one.
I love the green version of it.
All right, so we'll take a break now. When we come back from that break, let's discuss Dangote Refinery, government, regulators, all the big. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges.
With the growing youth population and very little engagement.
That is a ticking time bomb.
We're blessed people with a diverse culture who have a lot to say.
And yes, we are talking.
It is important we drive conversations that informs, inspires, and influences thoughts and actions.
If we say there is beauty in diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture.
We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation.
As we are the hope for the future,
yesterday's conversation shaped today.
What are you saying to shape your tomorrow?
We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
The truth is, there's really no science to preventing suicide. It hasn't been found. I think the reason it hasn't been found is because it's something that happens to the person on their own. But when people die by suicide, then you realize that there's someone close to them who knew what they were going through. Someone in his family knew that he'd been depressed. It might not be a lot of people in the family, but somebody knew. There's someone he told. There's a friend that knows too, that was just always there saying, fighting, I'm here for you, if you need anything. Or maybe they don't even have to say it in that way, but there's one person aware. So at the end of the day, because there is no way to directly say this person is going to die, I think that the most that we can do is try to, for us that are living, for the rest of the people that are still hearing us, that are still considering it, to say, because we know that one person is aware, maybe you can take the step for yourself to tell maybe a professional to get you the help that you need. Because someone like CEO of Conga, he's exposed, he's traveled, he's seen the world, he has money, he has a family. He knows that suicide isn't the way out. That's not the message that it was thinking of at the end of the day. So I just want to say that, like, the person that's out there, that knows that this is what it is for you, just try and, it changes life. It keeps going. Try and get the help that you need. That's what I can say.
Thanks for staying with us now. Nigeria's most ambitious yet challenging investment project, the Dangote Refinery, set to be the largest single train refinery in the world upon completion. This project by Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, promises to revolutionize Nigeria's oil industry. However, its journey has been fraught with delays, funding issues, regulatory hurdles, reflecting broader challenges faced by investors in Nigeria's energy sector. Now, despite setbacks, the refinery holds the potential to significantly reduce Nigeria's reliance on imported petroleum products and boost local refinery capacity. So tonight we want to have a conversation and explore the intricate web of challenges and the opportunities surrounding the investment, right, that is made. And we're asking, how does this investment, right, especially how, referencing the Dangote Refinery, how are investments, faced with challenges within the country, right? And we have with us a guest, right? The conversation, he is a C-suite executive with work experience spanning over 3 decades. He currently leads a financial service group with head office here in Lagos and branches in Port Harcourt and Ibadan. His industry exposure cuts across professional services, investment, banking, amongst others. So, yeah, we have with us a friend of the house, Gbolahan Olojede. Welcome. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Yes, so you're welcome. You're welcome. We say this conversation about a refinery and this thing. I don't have energy. Like, it is. Somebody sent a post on our group say, now wow, Peleo, that they should go and check on Dangote. Let us be sure that his BP, is okay. Then somebody now said that this our government is not fair. That our government don't turn Dangote to content creator. Somebody that was always quiet, they even they talk anything, and all of a sudden somebody now said, so they now put a post on Yaba left. And they said, on Judgment Day, God will say, where are those entrepreneurs from Nigeria? He said, once we raise our hands, he will say, okay, you cannot be punished twice. Go to heaven. This was a quote they said, they attributed to Dangote. But hey, help us understand this matter. First of all, is it even possible to have that? From the reports that we read, $20 billion have been sunk into that project.
Correct.
So how is it even possible that a $20 billion project does not have license? I don't understand. Is it possible in this country?
Anything is possible.
Wow.
Because it depends on the kind of understanding he had been working with.
Gentleman's handshake.
Gentleman's handshake in certain instances. Because when you look at the size of the project, the landmass alone is about 7 times the size of Victoria Island. You can literally drive almost an entire day just trying to navigate inside, inside that place. It's a huge, huge facility. In our part of the world, normally, those are not projects for individuals. Now, government, they do that kind of project. So when you have someone, an individual investor who has embarked on that, he has sat with the high and mighty and the key decision makers, and there's an understanding. Things might have been taken too far because despite the fact that there might be understanding, some of the things we learned in law was that a gentleman's agreement is
they work.
It's not a contract. Yes, if it's it has to be, those elements of contract still have to be there. If they're not there, forget it. Because that gentleman, number one, might not even be there
anymore,
tomorrow.
Which is what is happening in this case.
Which will be part of what is going on. But anyhow, we look at it, just thinking about the size alone. It is a must-work project for Nigeria. It's no longer just about an investor. It goes beyond that. $20 billion US dollars?
That is a lot.
It's a whole lot.
A whole lot. I've never... Dear.
I
can't even begin to imagine that amount because if I probably had $20 million, if I had...
They talk about 20 million. You never even talk about $2 million.
I know, right?
So you can imagine 220 million. Then we're not talking of not 2 billion. We're talking of 20 billion.
But then the this is a man who is the richest man in Nigeria and one of the richest men in the world. And so there is this other perspective to this story saying that the government is perhaps to a certain extent trying to curtail monopoly, which is, we all know Dangote and his building company, cement and all of that. So they're saying that this is a move by government to stop monopoly because he's not the only one who has a license, who rather has the grants to start up a refinery. There are about at least like 22 other people who have access to build refineries.
They got the license,
Yes, okay. But they just haven't kick-started. And then we have Kaduna refineries, and to Nigerians, they're sort of hopeful that, okay, Dangote is in the picture now. We have a functional refinery, so perhaps they're looking at fuel getting cheaper. But from the side of the federal government, they're looking at it like, okay, if we let this man go ahead with this, he's going to beat down price. That's number one. And then he's going to, because as Nigerians, would always go for the easier option. So ideally, there is monopoly in the making, and then there is the federal government. The federal government also deals with fuel. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Which, of course, Mr. President is the Minister of Petroleum and yes. So, how do you see that allegation that it's one of the ways to stop him from another monopoly in the making? Yes.
In every places where I've spoken about this, I challenge that word, the use of the word monopoly, because it's a technical word and it has a definition. So if I take cement, there is Dangote cement, there is Bua cement, which is also huge, then there is Lafarge.
There's the one in Okpila cement. Okay, they are gone.
Yeah, there are also some other smaller ones. So if you have two other major players, Lafarge has even been there before Dangote cement even had. Yeah. So the question is, if you have three major players and some other small guys, how come we're talking of a monopoly? If you come to sugar, there's Dangote sugar, there's Bua sugar, there's FMN. There are about 2 or 3 other major ones.
On the same level? No.
They might not be on the same side, but the Bua capacity is competing with the Dangote, capacity. So if you have those kind of sizes, and FMN in sugar, FMN is a huge organization in itself. Yes. So when we now say monopoly, it must be within the Nigerian context, not the technical use of the word monopoly, because technically speaking, those are not monopolies. When you come to refinery, Dangote's refinery is 650,000 barrels per day capacity.
Okay.
Government has 4 refineries with a cumulative capacity for about 445,000 barrels per day, which is probably close to like 70%.
Is that the Kaduna refinery?
No, it's the 4 of them. You have 2 in Port Harcourt, you have Warri, and you have Kaduna. What we have been told over the last couple of years is that contracts have been awarded. In fact, for Port Harcourt Refinery, we were told that it has achieved mechanical completions, just waiting to go commercial. So if we now say that what Dangote is doing is a monopoly, is it a way of telling us that we should not expect anything from those other refineries? What about the other private refineries, Aradel, Walter Smith, and a few other little ones there and there? Are we saying we should totally discount them? So what is the new definition of monopoly?
But we haven't really seen the impact. So far, I'll give you an example. Yeah. For instance, when Dangote started, the price of diesel crashed. Well, not exactly crashed, but it went lower because now we have a local who is producing and selling to us, even though we know he still has exportation plans. But at least with it, knowing that this oil or this diesel is being refined within the borders of Nigeria, it gives us a certain, I don't know, bargain of, yeah, it makes it slightly cheaper.
So why are we not supporting it then?
No, this battle is not about Nigerians, is it? It's not necessarily about Nigerians. Dangote has challenges with the government, yes, because Nigerians are just expectant. If Kaduna is not working yet, if Port Harcourt is not working, if the other people giving independent licensing, the other independent marketers or thereabouts, if they're not giving licenses, or Dangote is here, Dangote, when are you starting? You just need anything to reduce the cost.
Is it going to refine his blood? Because the report, I mean, what started all of this that I started hearing about Dangote in the news was when he started screaming that the IOCs were not selling crude to him. Right, they would rather export those crude to make FX than to sell locally to him to refine. So I mean, is this, because this makes me sad, and that's why I wanted the conversation to really hit on the challenges, because you see, we're shouting that things are not working in Nigeria. Do you know what it means for somebody to have gbese of $20 billion on his neck? Do you know what it means? It's sleepless night. But this person is still ready to go and take the bull by the horn and invest that money because maybe he has seen it that it is possible for that thing to work, right? And the person has done this investment. You are complaining that we are importing fuel at expensive prices. I've said this thing several times, that these guys that are importing fuel, tell us the exact landing cost. Let us know what the cost is. Everybody is refusing to tell us these things. Somebody is trying to now solve the problem. Do you know the hardship this fuel prices has cost on regular Nigerians? We're not even talking about there's no even middle class anymore in Nigeria. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you now find somebody that wants to invest in your country, and all you do is frustrate the person. It doesn't, it's giving me a headache.
Don't take it easy.
It is.
Well, you see, okay.
Yeah. Let me correct certain impressions. One of the impressions is to say there might be a dramatic reduction in price by virtue of Dangote
I don't think
refinery.
so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because what we will likely be saving will be the logistic costs, so which means I don't have to bring the fuel from Spain or Brazil or wherever I used to buy it from. I don't have to establish an LC, so there are no LC costs, there are no logistic costs. It is right at my backyard. I just move it from Lagos to wherever I want to move it to. So I can save all that logistic cost. But apart from that, the price might not be significantly lower like some people expected. However, there are two major benefits. One, we've been importing these white products from maybe 1972 or something. For 5 decades, we've been importing. Now, we're going to have domestic refining. When you import, you use your dollars to buy those things. So what is going when you have domestic refining, what's going to happen is that you can save a chunk of those dollars that you used to chase up on those importations. If you save some of them, what does it do? It improves your dollar supply and could have an impact on your exchange rate and some of the economic pressure that we are feeling right now. The second side is that if all this refining, let's say the government refineries are working, Aradel is working, Walter Smith is working, Dangote is working, what we're going to have is we'll produce more than we can consume.
So we don't have to export finished products. We export
and still earn foreign dollars because we're exporting. We're not even talking about the jobs now. Huge job opportunities for people because we're now doing value-add product instead of exporting commodities. If you go to some of the places in the Niger Delta where there is crude, you don't even need to do anything. The crude is coming by itself. Now it is lazy and depressing that is what we have concentrated our energy on for decades. If we are able to step it up onto the level of refining, which is what Mr. Dangote has helped us to do, he deserves all the support. If I'm a regulator, rather than going on air to go and say, oh, you did not do this, you did not do this, your fuel is not good, the imported one is good, I wouldn't even be able to say something like that anyway if I were the regulator, that I go on there to say, yeah, the one locally is not good. You are essentially saying, I prefer to continue to import. That is what you're saying. So let's, for whatever reason, believe that the standard is not good. What he should do is go and work with that man to get the standard to the level that you want. Not that you condemn it and express a preference to the imported, for the imported one.
Let me come to Norma. At the same time, they talk about Abana. Instead of complaining that their products are substandard, why don't you give them the quality material so that they can provide quality products? Norma, are you there?
Yes, I am. Gbolahan, I'm just in somewhat of shock and in awe because this is something that I don't know how many times we're going to talk about it to overflog it. But I think today I'm just a little bit overwhelmed because does it mean that there are no solutions to what we're going through? If somewhat, from what hearing you speak, what we are doing is that we're literally imploding in ourselves. We're not encouraging people who want to work. We're not creating policies that enable the environment for the work to be done. And literally, we're selling what we have because we just want the FX exchange. So is it that we have come to the end of the road where literally there is nothing that can be done? Or at this point, do you have any suggestions as to what we can quickly begin to do in order to begin to attack these challenges that we're facing?
Yeah, I think solutions is the most important thing we should focus on. And there are solutions to whatever problem we have, that could be in that middle. Nigerians, we have built a lot of hope around Dangote Refinery. We have also committed resources indirectly, because don't forget that when we say $20 billion, it involves also things like CBN having provided some of those dollars that we're talking about. It could be that when CBN provided those dollars, it denied some people some other dollars that could have been provided for them because it was never enough. So we are indirectly financially involved. We are emotionally involved. And it is important that such a project will reach a closure and we can reap the benefits of what we have done. So I like the fact that after the, media, I'll call it showdown, there were some other pictures that shows people meeting and talking and smiling and shaking hands. So maybe they've gone behind to take a second look at what just happened. And they have discussions to move this project forward. It will be so shameful that we've been importing fuel all these years. We now have a project that could deliver fuel to us. Then there is no crude. So we changed from importing crude to from importing refined product to now importing crude. A crude nation. We are huge in crude.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break, Sanzi. As in the kind of headache where they do me on top of this matter. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having a conversation around the investment challenges in Nigeria. We're focusing on Dangote Refinery. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-8663. You can also call our phone line. Remember to turn off the volume of whatever device you're watching from. The number is 070-2500-7749. Sanzi, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I was going to ask that, according to sources, one of the reasons, well, aside from the fact that the reason IOCs are not selling oil to Dangote is because they're trying to get forex, which so far we know that the economy is struggling, and they're trying to pump in as much forex back into the country because we are crazy in debt as a country. Aside from that fact, another one is the fact that the oil in Nigeria has been sold. And so
they say they don't sell our oil 50 years to come.
So for another couple of years, another couple of years, maybe 2 or a year or 2, we do not have, it will take another while before we start selling oil like as though it is ours. It's like we've sold the oil.
We paid it forward.
Yes, we paid forward. So that's part of the reasons why they can't add Dangote to the equation. And yeah.
There are issues around priorities.
Okay.
And whatever we believe is a priority should feature in how we roll out the policies that we adopt. At the same time, the oil is there. So the problem is to bring it out, right? This same country had at some point produced 2.5 million barrels per day.
That is true.
November 2005, I believe. That was about how much we produce per day. So that same country is currently struggling to do 1.2, 1.3. Maybe by the time you had the condensate, it might come to 1.5. We can't even remember when last we met our own OPEC quota, not to talk of the budget estimate that we. So there's a huge gap between what we are currently producing and what we have the capacity to produce. The gifting that is there. So the thing is there. Of course, we have not made the right investment over several years. Don't forget that the legal framework was delayed for 13 years in the National Assembly before the PIA was eventually passed. During all those periods, we must have missed out on a lot of investment decisions because the investors are not sure of your environment. If I bring my money, that is, so we missed out on that. Then we have a situation of infrastructure, oil and gas infrastructure that are bad. When I was in oil and gas, I still remember that pipeline, don't let me mention too many names. It goes down like every 6 months. And when it goes down, it may be out for 3 months.
Why? Is it because of corrosion?
It's old. Okay. It's a very old pipeline. So those kind of things require continuous investment. It's getting more complex now when you are talking of fossil fuel issues in the global world. There's a campaign against it. Mm-hmm. You already have situations in which certain financial institutions are not willing to finance
anything that has to do with fossil fuel. Because everybody is moving to green energy.
Green energy. So it is a time to see how we can make the best of this crude while it still has value for us.
God will bless you, sir.
Bring as much of it outside. Sell as much. Make money. Create industry like what Dangote is doing. There's petrochemical there. We're only talking of PMS. Petrochemical, incidentally, is not affected by all this negative campaign against fossil fuel because it doesn't, produce all those carbon effects.
Petrochemical is not the consumption of petrochemicals is not as heavy as fuel. PMS is what we consume.
Correct.
So this is what affects us, right? I was going to ask that how much politics, has politics played in this whole mix? Because like you rightly said, government, change of power, different things happen.
Correct.
The person you shook hand with is no longer there. It's a different person you have to go and shake hand with, and maybe this person is saying no, something else is happening. But how much policies, right? Politics rather, how much of it is playing out with this event of Dangote? Or we should just look at it that it is just a poor investment, what's it called? Decision.
I don't think, I think there's a lot of, I'll call it politics and deals issue. I'm not privy to the details of what could be going on there. But when you see statements that don't add up, you begin to ask yourself, what exactly could be going on? Let me give you an example of a statement that did not add up in some of the things we saw recently. So 14 months ago, the former president commissioned the Dangote Refinery. 14 months after, someone told us that it's only 45% completed. If it's now 45% complete, so what was commissioned then? 10% or 20%? If this same factory or plant is already exporting diesel, is already exporting jet fuel, right there, and selling diesel to the domestic market. In fact, maybe a couple of months ago, some government official was sitting down with Dangote to help discuss about price of diesel and all the rest. Yes. So all these things, they are coming from an unlicensed and a 45% completed refinery.
It doesn't add up.
You see, it doesn't add up. That's why there are some other things that are playing out that we need to, it's not for us to unearth. It's just for us to tell the government and as people that, look, go behind the scene. Sort all this problem. What is important for Nigerians? We want to see that domestic refinery work, give us fuel, and make our economy better by virtue of the exchange implications, the employment implications that it will bring for us.
So this taste, sorry, Sandy, I'll come to you. This taste for foreign things, because I see it playing out here. Because when somebody makes a statement to say that the thing that is produced locally is not quality, right? So does this tell me, or rather, I would choose to interpret that to say that the remaining refineries that we had, because I grew up in Kaduna, and I know there was tons of NNPC workers.
Correct.
You're still paying workers, they are not doing nothing, and Correct. You're still paying them. So you have 4 refineries that could have been producing petrol, right? You chose not to. You made those ones comatose. And you prefer to import. Who do us for this country?
Because, number one, importation is easy. It's routine. It's easy money.
Look at subsidy. Landing cost alone is about 1,107.
Now, the one where you know.
That is what they wrote in the papers. And we know the papers are usually like the easier version of the story, not always the hard facts.
Correct. In the middle of all those costs, that is staggering, that is, that you find obnoxious, and it is in the meat of that people are making money. So the people, the beneficiaries of the status quo, never, ever want the status quo to change. Dangote Refinery is about to change a 50-year-old history. And the establishment will fight that by all possible means, because people have grown used to a certain way of life, easy money, importation, and all of that.
Very lazy way of life.
Yeah, so if you're going to change that, there'll be a lot of resistance. In some industry that I'm also aware of, I know how this has played out. That even up till now, some of those industries, while we already have some element of manufacturing going on here, a lot of the manufacturing are still not going on, even despite government incentive. I just don't want to mention names, because we love that importing. It is easy. Just bring it,
Let me come to Norma Sanzi. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Importation is sort of an easy way to make money. I was just going to ask.
Sorry, I think we have a caller.
Okay.
Habib? Hi, good evening.
Yes. Yeah, good evening, man. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. I've just had a speaker's comment, and I'm very pleased with what he's saying. But in addition to all those explanations, can I also add that why government can't give license to Dangote to also explore the crude oil himself, now that the IOCs are denying him this product for him to use in running his refinery? Why can't we just do that? Isn't that another option? All these other agencies and institutional organizations that are there, the IOCs that are currently exploring the products, are exploiting us. So if one person is now having all the wherewithal, I don't think it will take him too long. The depth of the crude that is there for him to be able to drill and get it out so that he can use it in his refinery.
Okay, thank you, Habib. Do you want to respond to that?
That's it's talking about backward integration. Of course, he might eventually consider it. but he already has this $20 billion project. You want to be able to have a breather. You want that to generate cash flows for you. And then after you cut your breath, then you can start doing all the other ones. Exploration, development, production, those are steps within that crude oil thing that you just mentioned. The value chain, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So while this one is already here, can he just be allowed to close out this one, start to have the cash flow? Maybe he might decide on backward integration over time.
So from here on, seeing all the drama that has happened, and eventually Dangote gets into that point of frustration such that he says, Nigeria, you know what? I give up. If you want to buy, go ahead and buy. I am done. Hands off.
He don't talk him already now. He was supposed to invest in steel.
Yeah, that's what.
That is. I went to that Jakuta many years ago.
Oh,
hey,
no.
God of heaven. We don't.
So now, how do you imagine this will play out from... This is a developing story. And right now, where we're at is Dangote is saying, I don't do again.
He's frustrated.
So how do you imagine this whole scenario will play out, given that we've already been told that by August, he will start selling fuel to locals. Initially, it was June, I think, and then it was July, and now it's August. And with the drama on ground right now, where does Dangote stand? Where does that leave Nigerians and their hopes? Where does that leave the government?
I think it will be resolved. The stakes are too high than for it not to be resolved. You know, we've been out there, the president and his entourage has been there asking people to bring money. And the people we are inviting are also watching. They are seeing what is going on.
And it's not a good picture.
There is a proverb of who I be.
No, ma.
You know?
I know be anybody. Oh. No, ma, please go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, wow, like I'm just raptured by your thoughts. Gbolahan, so I'll go back to something that you mentioned earlier, and you said that this 20 billion project, back to what we were talking about, this 20 billion project is a must walk for Nigeria.
Correct.
So from all of the conversation that we've had, it's like we are our own undoing. So in your opinion, what would you suggest? Like a step by step, now we're looking for solutions, isn't it? So what is that like step by step, if you were, to advise based on this, what are the step by step procedures that we need to implement to help, whether it's the government, whether it's Dangote himself, because like Uwa said, he must be having high blood pressure at this point. So everybody needs help. What would you suggest that we begin to do systematically to begin to
resolve
help
this
situation work by all means, both for Dangote and for Nigeria?
A starting point will be an engagement of the stakeholders. There are many people who have stake in this project, including even the ones that are a bit odd, like I might say a CBN, for example. So you have the NMPC and its agencies. You have the president himself. And there are also the political class and all those other people. Everybody needs to sit down across, including even the IOCs or the people who can give Dangote crude. Meanwhile, NMPC in itself does some production. So let's sit down around a table and ask ourselves, again, or remind ourselves first, what is the goal here? And then begin to say, okay, this is, what can you do towards this goal? What can you do towards this goal? So we see it as a joint project that must happen. And everybody pitching into that project to make it happen. A case in which the regulator will say, oh, your fuel is 1,600 ppm, and Dangote on the other side will say, oh, it is 80 ppm. Would not happen. The agency will have known that. Let's even assume for discussion purposes that this is 1,600. I'm going to work with you because this is our standard. This is where we want it to be. So you and I will work together to arrive at that standard that we want to do. The crude provider people will say, okay, we have pledged this much crude, but there's still this slice that is possible. Mr. Dangote, we thought we'd be able to give you 500, but let's start with 100
I don't
that we
vex.
can give you.
I don't
No
vex.
vex.
Wait, no. I want to ask one question.
Okay.
No, it be like say for this Nigeria, we really know one meetings they work. Because in all honesty, right, I've said this thing several times. It gets to a point where you need to stop about, it is not about you anymore. Do you understand? For somebody to do this kind of thing, the intention is to, I know he's a businessman. Of course, he wants to make money.
In a capitalist system.
But guess what? Nobody would take on that kind of project just because of money. There's something deeper than money for him. You know, this is a problem we've always had in this country. Not be saying we don't know. You said a 50-year-old problem. Somebody now decides to say this is what to make it work. Build a world-class standard. The kind of refinery that Dangote has, even globally across the world, he's going to be competing with global standards.
Of course.
Come on.
When you talk about a single train, it's said to be the largest single train.
It does not make any sense. So why can't you just put aside whatever the thing is disturbing you, keep it aside and let it work?
Have you seen this old movie called The Man Who Built America?
I don't hear that movie before.
If you have, go and watch it because it speaks to this matter. Even rails were owned by individuals in America in the early stages. Individual built rails for
people.
Stuff. Yeah.
Let's take a caller. Good evening. Are you there?
I hope we didn't lose him.
Oh, did we lose the caller? Norma, please take a comment. I think there's a comment on the group. Because it thing, like I'm trying to process it in my head. It's not just adding up. It gets some kind of things where you go talk, say, see, this thing, just leave them. Anything where won't happen, this thing has to work.
Yeah.
That is what I know that is an
that is where we are right now. And it is, in my opinion, the president should just champion it. It doesn't have to be a public championing. I mean, it doesn't have to come on the air and make a comment. But call all the stakeholders together. Let's have a proper engagement. Rule out the mandate. The mandate is that this thing must work. All of you, whatever you can do, get it working.
Okay, quickly, you're live. Go ahead. Are you there? Did you lose the call again? Okay, the disruption of the Dangote the disruption Dangote is bringing is going to have a huge positive effect on the economy, right? It says, and starts turning things around. It is also going to expose the lies and deception of those feeding fat on the corruption around the oil production within Nigeria. The corrupt ones are losing sleep over this table shaking. Let's just pray for Dangote that the cartel don't take him out. This was a comment from Charles from Kaduna.
Okay, we have a comment. Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #ways. Investment challenges in Nigeria, Dangote Refinery. There is not much to say concerning this topic. People do face a lot of challenges when they invest in a business or a project and there is no good and tangible result afterwards. It is quite disturbing and frustrating. My dear beautiful sister Norma made mention of a very serious matter that was disturbing to her. She asked that what is the solution to the problem in Nigeria when it comes to investment? There should be a good result afterwards. Your guest made mention of Dangote Refinery changing a 50-year-old history, but there is an obstacle as regards that. It is not easy investing $20 billion in a project and you do not see a reasonable result. It is very frustrating. $20 billion is no joke or a child's play. Wow, my dear beautiful runaway sister Sandra.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So Dangote Refinery, there's more to it that meets the eye, that meets the eye. And if the government is silent about this, then it means they know and understand the problem and are in cohort with NNPCL. Now, this is $1 billion going through this and has not been able to come out of it. A billionaire, he meant. Think about other Nigerians who have been put through this and they caved in. My submission. Good evening, all. Well, final thoughts.
Okay.
Well, for me,
give me hope.
Yeah. I think this project will eventually work. I think the problems will be resolved at the back end, and Nigerians will have the benefit of the promises that this project holds. That is my firm belief, despite the challenges that it is facing right now.
I actually do agree that it's going to be sorted out pretty soon. Perhaps they need to strike some new deals and some new negotiations, and perhaps Nigeria
Let me
would
just keep my thoughts.
buy more than 20% of the shares, but yeah.
Let me keep my thoughts to myself.
It will work. It will work.
Thank you so much
so
for giving us a great conversation. Even though I'm still having the headache, it is well. I want to tap into your optimism.
Take a lot of water, you'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Sanzi. Now, before we go, ensure you follow us across all our social media handles. Subscribe to our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV. You can like, share, invite your families and friends to watch. Now, the quote is, to build a successful business, you must start small and dream big. In the journey of entrepreneurship, tenacity of purpose is supreme. Aliko Dangote, our heart is with you. We're hoping that this thing will be resolved. Hopefully, this refinery will work, because I know that it's going to be beneficial to every single Nigerian. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m.